Welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's guest, Chief Pete Pezzullo of Marlboro Township Police Department, is here in honor of First Responders National Holiday. Chief, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
So Chief Pezzullo, we're calling you Pete for the rest of the time here, is a longtime friend. We go back to teenage years. Pete is not only a fantastic chief, but a great dad, a great man, great person, and a great gym buddy. So, you know, in honor of the holiday that was today, I couldn't think of a better guest to open up a podcast with. So, Chief, tell me about being a police officer, being the chief of Marlboro, and what that's like.
It's being a chief's a lot different than being a police officer. I can tell you that. You're sort of transitioning from doing the job on the road and dealing with residents on a regular basis, and you become an administrator. So it's more paperwork, it's budgeting, it's personnel management. I'm dealing with 130 employees, not only law enforcement but civilian, and it's a taxing job, 24/7. I don't just work an 8-hour day. It depends on what's going on, and I'm in the office in the weekends, but it's extremely rewarding. You get to make a lot of change, and that's the reason why I wanted the job. I want to, bring change for my police department, positive change, and also, better the community, serve the residents better. It's a lot of work, but it's extremely rewarding. So
love the answer. So Pete, the one thing that I think is amazing is, obviously, we're both big fans of each other on social media. You do a ton in the community. I don't think you miss a beat. If there is something going on in Marlboro, I see the gun show showing up, right? Is that part of the job, or is that who you are? Is that the brand of chief you want to be seen as?
Yeah, I'm glad you put it that way. I think it's a philosophy. It's something that I wouldn't say that I'm branding myself, but I became chief 5 years ago. It was actually 5 years ago in September. And it's a process where as a new chief, you want to bring in your philosophies. And I think my biggest philosophy is it's printed right across our police cars. It says community first. So I grew up in Marlboro Township. Most of the people that I serve in the town, I've went to grade school, high school, college. We are people that we raise our children together in town. And we want to keep Marlboro at the top. And part of doing that is making sure that not only that we're safe, that's a basic, but it's how you treat the people that live within your boundaries and the people that visit. So yes, I've transitioned our police department's philosophy into putting the community first in a multitude of different ways.
Love that. Now I'm going to embarrass you a little bit and celebrate you. You have quite a resume. You served in our armed forces as a Marine.
Yes.
And attended Rutgers University and played football there.
I was a walk-on.
Well, hey, listen, you know what? Either way, I don't care if you were Rudy or you were Eric Grant. I'm like, but to come a little bit older and have a love of a game and go, I tell people all the time, it takes a certain caliber. And I think if anybody, and if Coach Gianna was listening right now to say, this person had character, and now is a chief of police and manages 130 humans, then he made a good decision that day to put that young man on a roster. No less a Marine.
It was Doug Graber, actually.
Yeah.
Doug Graber back in the day.
Good stuff. What was it like, just to kind of a little bit personal, what was it like transitioning, coming back to college from the Marines?
I was lucky enough when I joined the Marine Corps. My father really didn't want me to do the active duty route. He wanted me to stay as a reservist. He wanted me to go to college. I was the first person in my family to graduate college. My father was in law enforcement, 25 years in the Bronx. And he really wanted me to focus more on my education. He really didn't want me to get caught up in the whole military thing. So I got activated. I was only 18 years old, and I had to leave college behind. I was at a military school at the time. Okay. And I went away. I was gone for almost a full year. And upon returning, my parents were moving to Florida. I couldn't afford to go to private school because my military school was a private school. Got it. So I had already had an acceptance letter from Rutgers, and I dove right in. It was a small change because you got to remember, I came from that whole military lifestyle, the military college, boot camp, Marine Corps, combat veteran. And having to transition into college life, it's a little awkward for me.
Yeah.
And, my friends would always want to go out and things like that. So I guess it was more of a social change for me.
Without a doubt. And we're very similar. So we're early rise, early to bed, not so much stay up and hoot it up. So
no doubt.
I get it. So tell me this, what would you say because I have a pretty special story to share a little bit later. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being in law enforcement, not only a chief, but your days on the road to now? What would you say the most rewarding part is?
I think for me, especially now where I'm at, I'm 5 years in, and I guess I'd have to say just knowing that the townspeople, the mayor, local government, the people, the business owners, I would say all the stakeholders that are in Marlboro, they really do look towards the Marlboro Township Police Department as being the pinnacle of law enforcement.
That's great.
And I believe that that's not just me. I get to reap the benefits, but every single officer in our department, all of our staff, they do such a really good job. And to hear it on a constant basis, mind you, I'm not talking once in a while. Every day I leave that building and I'm in uniform or I see somebody out to dinner, we get accolades from our townspeople. And it's a rewarding feeling. It makes me feel like we're doing a good thing.
I'm glad you're saying that. I was there the night at Cousins when it came down the pipeline that you were going to be the next chief, and obviously I was excited to be there. I think I was the only civilian out of the crew, right?
At the time.
And, so I always say I'm an honorary police officer with the many guys that I hang and hunt with. So
no doubt.
We'll work out with. But the reality is there's something to be said about that. I have always brought your name up when I talk about the poster child of an excellent officer. And even I'm always blown away because as a chief with, your son and my son are right around the same age, you didn't miss a game.
No,
helping,
I was lucky.
Yeah. And I believe somehow you coached a little bit or something.
I coached at SJV for 4 years. I coached my son since he was 5 through both sports, football and baseball. And then when he moved to high school, I coached at St. John Vianney.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was very lucky, blessed actually.
That's a great experience. And so you like to hear that. I know for me, we have so many similarities. I got to train my son, as far as with basketball, and he gave that up and went to baseball. And I had to rely on it. I was blessed. I had great guys around him. I had to sort them out. It was, they definitely didn't realize what they were dealing with. Like it was the enlistment process to deal with me. But it was worth it. I see some of those guys today and they're like, Doc, you were no joke. I literally felt like I was in a job interview to be in front of your son. I'm like, you know what? He's going to look up to you. I need him looking up in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's one thing that, even thinking about when your boy was a young boy and he was getting everything together and now he's a stud. I remember how dialed in you were when we reconnected and the kids were babies, and boys come a long way now.
That's part of being a father. You know it well. And, I see your son, how much he's grown. And I see you guys a lot on social media. I mean, the kid's, he's in great shape. So I don't think you've dropped the ball there. And it's great to watch them grow. And you hope that as a father, we've done our part, to make them a well-rounded man because they're young men now.
100%. I'm going to get to that point that made my heart smile today when I was sitting up at Powerhouse. I was getting my workout. I was just finishing up and I ran into a young officer and he said, "You have a really big following on social media." I said, "Yeah, I do all right." And I was like, "Why do you ask?" And he said, "I need you to do me a favor." And he got really quiet. And I was like, "Kyle, what's going on?" And he said, "You don't say any names because the family didn't want, doesn't want it out there. But I was the first responder on a suicide. And, I guess, you guys have advanced so much that you can connect into the rings and all that kind of stuff. And so I guess the detectives jumped in and said, all right, let's link the rings and see if we see him, which way he went down the block." And me as a hunter, I'm thinking, that's pretty dang smart, and they said, well, then when they came to find that he didn't go that way and the whole block was covered, they realized he went the other way and they found him. And he had, again, unfortunately, taken his life. And, when I had said, I was like, I got to tell you, however I can help. And I said, ironically, I have a longtime friend, Chief Pezzullo, and he lit up. And he said, my guys reached out, and, Chief immediately jumped in to help. And, there's one thing about being first responder in your job. There's another thing for the type of person you are to put your community, your Marlboro community, into another community to help a fallen community member. And so to me, that's really what the message of the podcast today was, really to say thank you.
Oh, so, and I appreciate that. But, and that, once again, that's part of the philosophy, understanding that, you have a small community that you serve, but in the grand scheme of things, we're all part of the same community. It doesn't matter if we border on a certain township or not. And when it comes to fundraising, and in this case, my heart goes out to that family when we heard what had taken place and, what this individual left behind in the wake of everything. We were more than willing to chip in. The funny thing here again is, from a law enforcement perspective, we show up to calls all the time where, there's loss and we can't control what happened. It's already happened. And in this case, you talk about mental health and mental health awareness. So,
which is also this month.
There you go. And we just look at it from a law enforcement perspective. There's so many people out there that unfortunately, let's say, take their own lives. And it's something we need to shed a light on. So when we heard that they wanted our assistance, we're definitely going to chip in.
And it's funny, seeing your cars all the time, being friends with so many of the Marlboro Police Department, I had to laugh. And it's today's podcast, and most of my podcasts are sponsored by Athletic Freak, and they always say community. And when your cars say community first, the irony of it today is, and I'm usually try to rock their gear when I'm on the podcast, is there's something to be said about like-minded people. And, it just was a really nice spot and place to be. Quick question. And this is a forward-thinking thought. You're looking at, you got 5 years as chief, acting chief, and we get to the end. And God knows we've been only a few minutes away from each other. What would you want that placard or something on the mantle, or however they honor the chiefs at the department? There was, like we would see as athletes, and you tap it. What do you think that statement or that mantra would be about Officer Pezzullo?
Difficult to like
Chief Pezzullo,
put it into one phrase, but
I'll give you three.
I would think that if I were to see something just visibly posted somewhere, it would just say respect above all else. And I think I've lived my life going back to the Marine Corps days. Is you learn to respect all of those around you. And it doesn't matter their rank, it doesn't matter their title, it doesn't matter their social status. And I make sure that my officers, especially my new officers, that I see right as I'm hiring them, the very last person they see is me. And I'm handing them a piece of paper that says, we want you to work here in Marlboro. But I let them know that, once they wear that uniform outside, once they put the badge on, they're a reflection of my office. And they must respect everyone, regardless if they deserve it.
Love that.
And it goes a long way, because in our field now, it's a difficult job. And there are those that just don't respect law enforcement, but it doesn't, and it shouldn't change how you feel about others, especially in your community. So I respect my newest officer, I respect my mayor, I respect my council, and I would hope that I earn the respect of all of those people that work with me. So I'm definitely respect driven.
I love that.
And I think from the day I met you, there's been nothing but respect. So
100%. And I firmly agree with that. Now I know your brothers in arms, if you will, in the department would probably said no carbs after 5. But they'll get a chuckle on that one when they see the podcast.
That is a good one. I'm trying to no carb right now, period.
But I have to tell you, I knew it would be a blast, and I know I've been trying to tie you down, but between the community service stuff and everything you do, it's unbelievable how much. And, I've been blessed to treat probably 12 to 1,500 police officers, but I have to tell you, the amount of respect your men and women give you is unbelievable. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
You know what? We're definitely going to do this again. The next outing you guys have, let me know, and we'll definitely be one of the sponsors.
I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us today and our guest, Chief Pezzullo. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share, like, and follow us. We'll see you again soon.